on facade.
Welcome to the match preview / tactics talk for West Brom versus Leicester, Phil. Obviously, you were at the game a few days ago now. Now we're coming into the West Brom game. Obviously, it wasn't the greatest performance and the all result against...
It was Sheffield Wednesday we went on Wednesday, really.
Yes,
Let me remind you where you actually were. Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday.
Yes.
And it's just about thawed out now because it was freezing. Wasn't it? It was freezing.
It was very cold.
And not too much on the top level entertainment value. But listen, it was a point.
Yes, exactly. And like I say, we're going into this West Brom game now, and they're in quite good form because I haven't seen exactly, but they've won quite a few games in a row. I think they're unbeaten in quite a few games now as well. So going into this game, it's going to be quite a difficult game to say that we couldn't beat bottom of the league Sheffield Wednesday.
I like it that you've got all your stats here. Like they've won maybe a few in a row. Maybe they've got like unbeaten for like one game. He's literally going to Google it now.
I am going to Google
find
it
out
now.
his stats because he's come to this tactics talk so unprepared, Reedy.
But
what is going on?
While we get into the stats, we'll get the intro in and we'll get straight into the video.
Okay.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content, like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live. Thanks to our sponsors, Everards, Barlow Blinds, Pukka Pies, Car Leasing, Distillers Direct, Hollogram, Take Me, Newby Co, and the Foxes, Arms and Rainbows. We are live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So, as we just looked at the stats, they are in 5th place and only lost 1 in the last 5. So it's going to be a very, very hard game, isn't it?
And that was to Ipswich they lost to,
yes,
wasn't it? So they've won 4 and only lost 1. A couple of games ago to Ipswich. They've won 2 since then. So listen, West Brom, it's going to be a tricky one.
It is
very
going to
tricky.
be. But again, guys, make sure you put your comments and views in as we do get into these teams. So, Phil, obviously, to start off with, the keeper, I don't think there's any other choice in.
No, so I think some of these self-pick themselves,
yes,
don't they? We're both going to go for Hermansen, aren't we?
Yes.
In goal. And he has played well. Although, again, I want to pick him up on it a bit, Reedy. There's some of these, like, hospital passes from the back on Wednesday night.
Cost us massively.
Hermansen was guilty for about around 2 of them. And there was one where he'd come out of his area and he was sort of... he was past his post and he was on the edge of the box and he passed it straight into I think it was Pereira who lost the ball in the middle. And honestly, Sheffield Wednesday could have scored 1 or 2 goals. And Hermansen, I know it's the way we play, but he just has to watch some of that, you know.
Yeah, like I say, it's the style we're playing now. It just, again, he's got a good passing, but the pass that he goes to, they need to make sure they don't mess up.
They lost control. It wasn't Hermansen's pass.
No,
it was
the control of the player who got the ball.
But it was a hospital pass, a couple of them, because the players literally got... Sheffield Wednesday were breathing down our necks. Yes, exactly. So if West Brom play the same sort of high press, it makes it tricky.
Yeah, so getting into the fence then, Phil, obviously we've just heard that Faze is going to be assessed for tomorrow's game. Looking like with the injury that he did pick up against Sheffield Wednesday, do you see anyone else coming in? Do you see Cody staying in this squad going into tomorrow's match? Do you see Justin and maybe, I don't know, because I say there's no other really replacement for Faze now, is there? Other than obviously JJ being in that left-sided role, the only other position really is that Cody spot now, unless you do bring Suter in.
And I would say that Faze. I would say if he is not at all 100%, then don't play him. And you've got Connor Cody, you've got Vestergaard, and you've got JJ. So I'm more than happy with that. That would be my back 3 for tomorrow, knowing that Faze took that knock in the game. He went down, didn't he, just before half time.
And then obviously got taken off.
Took off. So I think with the amount of games there are at the moment, I'd rather see, I've got no problem with that as a back three. So I'd be interested to see if anybody in the comments is going to disagree with that, Reedy, and see if anybody would put Faze in. But I think you just let him go.
Yeah. Someone says Phil's looking fresh.
Thank you.
He's scared. He's scared
Always
the crap
available.
out of me. He's talking about Hermanson.
Yeah.
Kean says their loss was to Southampton 2-1, apparently not Ipswich. I will quickly check. It was to Southampton. They did beat Ipswich.
They beat Ipswich. Yeah, indeed.
That's the big one. So
thanks for that. Who said that? Kian. Thank you, Kian. Yeah, you're quite right. I was wrong. Sorry, but
Yes.
they're in good form.
They are in good form.
Is your team any different to mine so far, or are you going for the same?
Well, Vestergaard's definitely in there for me. He's probably one of the best players we've had this season so far.
Yeah, great championship player.
He has to be in there. Again,
JJ's
JJ's the only one that really can play in that role, other than obviously Doyle, but he's out still.
Yeah.
So, and then on the right hand side, I think for me, I'm not a big fan of Cody. The way he plays, he just keeps going sideways, which I know a lot of the time that's how we've been playing. But I think someone like Suter might be a bit more of an impactful player because, like I say, from set pieces, from corners, we're not scoring and we can't beat the first man. So maybe if you have someone like Suter in there, he might actually score you some goals, which you haven't been scoring many lately.
Okay, that's an interesting one.
I would probably take Suter. And obviously, I know people probably say they wouldn't, but for me, he's going to be in there. And if I can spell his name right.
You keep looking for him, really. Well,
there we go. Harry Suter.
I probably think nobody watching will agree with Suter.
No, probably not.
I know why you've done that.
Australia, he scores goals left, right, and centre. Yes, it might be against top 90 level teams instead of being top 10 teams, but he's scoring goals and he is a threat from set pieces. And I think that's one issue we've not been coping with the last couple of games. So maybe for me, he does come in whilst FaZe is out, but I think the main choice would be Cody to be in there.
I think so, and I think Cody offers you a bit of leadership as well. So
yeah, exactly.
But it's interesting. We'll see if anybody agrees with me or Reedy. Put it in the comments. Let us know who you would put in there.
AMP edit says I like to see the use the same back four as from second half against Wednesday. So that is without FaZe, with Justin, Cody, Vestergaard, and then Ricardo when he comes back into the right back position. But we will move on to that right back position now, and there's obviously the DMs. Phil, any changes? Winks, Chowdhury. Do you think that's a good option, Chowdhury, in there after bringing him on late on against Wednesday? No. I
mean, I don't know what's more exciting to see. Chowdhury in there, or the fact that Jamie Preston from the Fox's Arms in Alcudia is watching this. I'm very excited that
he said don't throw the ball into the box from free kicks. What's the point of having a big man in the box?
Again, I'm pretty normally always on the same hymn sheet as Jamie. It's going to be Winks and Ricardo Pereira in there for me, isn't it?
Yeah, I probably agree.
I'd
say top your main 11, you probably would have them two in there. Again, I would have probably dropped Winks for the Sheffield Wednesday game to play him in this big game. But again, he didn't do too badly against Sheffield Wednesday.
Who didn't?
Winks. But then again, I don't think many players...
It wasn't his best game.
No, like I say, nobody really played outstandingly against Sheffield Wednesday. But
I think it'll tell you what I think it was really, is they were playing a fast, high press at times, not all the time. I've watched some of this sort of stuff before where they'll have something that will like give them a signal to go and do the high press.
Yeah.
They won't always do it because you can't do it for 90 minutes. But there were certain moments where I think it was when the ball went back towards like Hermanson that they suddenly went, right, now when the keeper's got it, we press. But Winks and Ricardo Pereira both, I think at times got a little bit caught out with things.
Yeah. As our screen's absolutely frozen again.
Just carry on.
We will show you the teams very, very soon. But again, same midfield as we have been the last couple of games. There's no really change there, is there? I think the only thing we can kind of look at is in January, when it comes to the transfer window, is maybe we do get that replacement for Winks. For instance, if he gets more bookings and gets suspension or obviously injury, because we don't have that role to fill in, do we really, with Winks?
Well, when Winks missed the game because he was suspended against Watford, we put Hamza Chowdhury in, and I like Hamza Chowdhury, but he's not the same sort of player as Winks. And if we're going to insist on playing the same type of football, regardless of who we play or what formation, or sorry, what players we have available, we play the same way, then Chowdhury for me isn't that level of Winks skill and pivotal play.
Yeah, so obviously we've got Winks and Ricardo in for both of our teams. I think there's no doubt about that, where they're positioned in there.
Yeah.
Going into the wingers then, obviously Fatu got some early minutes against Sheffield Wednesday, and then obviously McAteer came in. And then it was obviously Mabadidi on the left, which for me, as much as I thought, and I've said here, I think he's going to be a decent player, he's been very inconsistent.
Mabadidi got man of the match.
Yes.
Against Sheffield Wednesday. We didn't see that. We didn't see that, did we? But I do quite like Mabadidi. Like you say, I think at times he's inconsistent at the moment. And I would say it's because he's a young lad, but he's in his mid-20s. So that is what he needs to do. And see how they play. Yeah, Richard
said, please no Mabadidi, the guy's thick as a pig. You know the rest. I think really is because I think Cody, every time he plays, he lets it down. He can't place that right centre back. I think that's maybe one reason why I've not picked Cody, because I think if you play Cody, he's got to play in that Vestergaard role. But again, that's all depending on what people think. Say Cody's probably a higher level than Suter.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it's just certain reasons why I've picked Suter in there. Jamie Preston does say I would give DP a mid in the park, number 10, some creativity. Again, why is he not getting game time? He's come back from injury. Do you maybe put him in there? I don't think indeed he had the best of games when he came on. Dewsbury, yes, he maybe did better when he came on for the team, but for me, the last couple of games, he's not been that creative. So do we see DP in the middle coming into the West Brom game?
He won't.
I don't know.
He won't. We could debate it, Reedy. We could always debate a little bit of DP, but it's not going to happen, so we won't do it. Okay.
Going to your wingers then. Obviously, like I said, Mavadi's not been in the best of form. Fatu, and obviously 5 goals for McAteer. Who do you pick on these winger spots?
I think for me, I think it will be Mavadidi again, and I think he's done okay. I think that is who will start.
Yeah.
And I think at times he looks like he really could be a Premier League quality player. At times he can look a little lazy. Somebody said to me he's a bit like watching Riyad Mahrez at times. He's nowhere near up to Riyad Mahrez's levels. But there was one moment on Wednesday night where I think somebody threw him a 50, 60-yard pass, and he did trap it absolutely.
Yeah.
Fantastic and sensational. Mahrez style.
He has got skill. He just, at times when if he could beat his man and try and have like a shot on target, he might change how he plays. But at the moment, he feels like he does certain mounts and then he just runs into a player. He just kind of just doesn't do the extra bit that we want to see from him.
It'll seem, and again, I could accuse Fatwa of this as well. They'll have 45 good minutes and then 45 quiet minutes. That might be either way round. They might have a quiet first half and a better second half. So, I would go for Mavadidi and I would go for Fatwa. Okay,
Fatwa it is. I'm gonna have to agree with you on Mavadidi. I think for me, because there's no other option. Like I say, you could put someone like McAteer on the wide position on that side, but because we haven't gone out and out other winger, that's a left wing. I think the only option is Mavadidi, and I think that's maybe one reason why he's probably not to his top form, because he's got no competition. Like I say, when we were going to bring that, who's the guy from Everton we were going to bring in, or is it Leeds? Harrison. When he had the competition, maybe Barnes, when we saw him coming in, maybe it was something that got Barnes a bit more higher level. But obviously now Barnes has gone to Newcastle.
Yeah,
there's just no competition from Aberdeen, in my opinion.
I'm going to sound old and repetitive to say it. Again, on Wednesday, it would have been interesting to see maybe Mark Albrighton come on.
Yes.
He doesn't, again, he seems like one of these, like Dennis Pratt, just a little bit of the forgotten crowd, which is fine, but I don't think Mark Albrighton was even on the bench on Wednesday. And again, for me, I probably would have him around the squad, maybe not a starter at all, but I think
I'm going to go.
It's an option.
I'm going to go Fatu as well. I think out of the two, McAteer, don't get me wrong, did brilliantly when he first came in this season. But since his injury, I think Fatu's come in and shown that I think that's kind of the level we need to be at.
I was just going to say, I think Andy Medhurst went up there and said at some point, have teams sussed us out?
Yeah, I was going to ask you that because for me, they have. Teams have worked out how to beat Leicester City. They're coming on to us. Like I say, you said it against Sheffield Wednesday. They just, the moment we got the ball in that back line, they pushed and pushed and pushed. And half the time they got it right. And they nearly scored from in the first minute, they nearly scored.
Again, there was we're playing this game where we're inviting them to come and do that, because when they come and attack, it is the plan that they come and try and nick the ball off us. So you are playing a dangerous game. When we pass it round them, which again does happen, and when it does happen, it looks amazing, and it looks like we're a fantastic footballing side, which I think we are at times. So that is the plan, to suck them in so that you can then exploit them as soon in the gaps straight behind them and attack fast. So
Chris says here, we can't play against high press. Again, if it all depends on the scoreline, because at 1-0, we thought, for me, we looked complacent. We looked like we won the game 1-0 already. And then it just got to the point where the moment we conceded, we just started pooping the ball up.
Again, this is what people tell me I'm not allowed to talk about. Like Andy Madhurst has said, yeah, we need a plan. I'm not talking about necessarily plan Bs, but I'm talking about
just changing the game.
In-game management and tactics, where we scored one against Sheffield Wednesday, which was against the run of play.
Yeah.
But after 20 minutes, we're 1-0 up. And you sort of think, great, let's kill the game now. Let's play for that next goal and make it 2-0 before half time. So for me, that is where a manager would slightly change tactics and say, right, go for it now, because at 2-0 down, the game's buried at Sheffield Wednesday.
Exactly.
At 1-0 down, we stood with Jake, and he said with 25 minutes to go, this is not over, because you're balancing around at 1-0. We're asking for them to come on to us. And that is some of my frustration with this playing the Enzo way. It's not about you have to change things.
It's not about having a plan B. It's about changing the
speed and
the speed. And even if it's just, instead of passing sideways once, you try and just loop the ball over and see if someone can get their foot onto it. It's like when McAteer came on, he had a few chances where the ball came over the top to him, and it did change the game a bit, but we just couldn't be clinical. And like I say, that Vestergaard chance at the end all came from because we conceded late and we wanted to try and get a goal late on.
I mean, we did change it in the second half when Dewsbury Hall came on and Diddy came on, McAteer came on.
It was all like
they were light for light, but they're better light for light.
Yes.
The people they replaced, they were a better option, and therefore it did feel like we had, for 5 or 10 minutes after the changes, Dewsbury Hall in particular had a lot of momentum with him, and suddenly was cutting open how they were playing. But then it drifted back to a bit of a slower pace.
Yeah.
So he had an impact, and then it changed. But
yeah, as you were saying about Dewsbury Hall coming on as a sub as well as Ndidi, going into this midfield now, then do you still see the likes of Cassidy and Atgun being in them roles, or do you think it's going to be full force first team and going into this game tomorrow?
I think it has to be Dewsbury Hall, and I think it has to be Ndidi in there, subject to them both being fit. But for me, it would be, you've got to play those two tomorrow, because West Brom is going to be a tough game. We've just played a team. We
bottom of the league.
We didn't struggle at Sheffield Wednesday, but we looked very, very flat. And they've scored 8 goals before they've played us. They've won 1 and drawn 3. They are nothing like West Brom. So if we were flat against Sheffield Wednesday, we'll need to come back fighting. Because if we're not a little bit careful, I don't want to be a doomer on this, but we have just lost to Leeds and Borough and drawn away at Sheffield Wednesday. If we were to pick up a defeat at West Brom, you'd look at the last 5-6 games and you'd be saying,
we've won 1 out of 5.
This is a bad run.
Yeah, again,
a really bad run.
And I've always said, as much as I don't want to be negative, I've said that we've won 14 games. You can't complain, but it's the style of football that we're just not creating enough chances, enough clinicalness to score goals. And like I say, with Dewsbury Hall, for me, you don't see the creativity there, but you do see, like Chris says, you do see the more energy into the game than what other players do. But going into my side then, I think I agree with you saying that I think Dewsbury Hall goes in there. But I think on the right, for me, I just don't think Ndidi's that attacking mind midfielder still.
Well, who are you going to put in then?
I'm going to put Atgun. I thought he was one of the better players against Sheffield Wednesday on Wednesday. For me, again, I just like how he's a bit more skillful. He's a bit more agile because he's smaller. In a way, I prefer him to someone a bit more lanky and a bit more defensive minded.
I just think Atgun's a bit like Fatul and a bit like Mavadida. You've got three players who are all, and McAteer, if I'm honest. I think they're all very similar. Is Atgun a different type of player to Fatul?
Yes, he is more of a central role. He's not actually that much of a winger. For me, anyway, he is. Actually, when I was at where was it, Blackburn, he played in that role, and I think he did really well there. So I think his position is better suited in the middle, but because of the likes of Ndidi, he can't fit in the team. And when someone like Fatul or McAteer's on the wing, he doesn't get into the side. So that's where, for me, Atgun does come in. But the question is now, Phil, the striker, obviously on Wednesday, we didn't see another striker come on, which we've seen the last month or two happen.
You probably left the biggest question till the end, haven't you? Obviously, because we go from the back to the front. It's going to be interesting. But listen, we're all big Vardy fans. Nothing negative to say against Jamie Vardy. He didn't get.
Andrew Medhurst says Cannon should get game time. I agree because of AFCON coming up for Daka, Kelechi Iheanacho, Ndidi, Fatou. We need someone to take place of Vardy's role when the AFCON guys go, really. So we've got to start playing Cannon at some point. Obviously, I thought perfect position last game to put him in.
Well, it seems strange that Jamie Vardy played the full 95 minutes on Wednesday. I know he's 37 nearly. Didn't get many touches of it. Had a couple of chances. Well, had a bit of involvement. Had that penalty shout in the second half. Had the ball that he flicked in for McAteer, which I think McAteer
should have done more.
Should have done more with it. Should have buried it maybe, but it didn't happen. So Vardy only had a couple of real moments of impact in that game, but played 95 minutes. So for me, that is them saying he isn't playing on Saturday because you're not going to put a 37-year-old almost through 95 minutes on Wednesday at 10 o'clock, and then by 12, it's an early kickoff. So he's literally had.
Then again, I'd say it's West Brom. He's had incredible form that I've had the last couple of years.
Bring him on as a sub then.
Yeah, I agree. But we've always said that the substitute striker who always seems to come on does better than the starting striker for me, and that's why I was so unsure why Enzo did not bring that striker on in the 70th, 60th, 70th, 80th minute to take Vardy's place. So like you say, I probably wouldn't see Vardy coming into the game tomorrow. So who are you picking? Are you picking Kel or are you picking Cannon?
I see Richard Houston there has put that Kel will start in there. And I think probably Richard's right. I'm not saying that's who I want to start. I just think Nacho will start there tomorrow. I guess fans love strikers. Fans get excited about strikers. We bought a new striker in the summer. It's like being told, like a kid at Christmas, you've got a nice present there, but you're not allowed to unwrap it yet. So Cannon's been on the bench the last couple of games, and I think we all want to see what's he got. Let's see what he's like. So I want to see what Cannon is like. We spent 7 or 8 million for him, which is a lot for a young lad who was injured. So let's see what you've got. None of our strikers this season are on fire, including Jamie Vardy.
Well, like you say, Pete, I think was it Sam that said to me that before Sheffield Wednesday, he said Vardy's going to start because he scored 2 goals. Well, the 2 goals he scored, one was a penalty against a non-keeper, and one was basically a tapping from a deflection. So for me, he didn't really do much to get his goals. Again, I probably would have started Cannon against Sheffield Wednesday.
I mean, normally when you have a player like Cannon coming in, not made an appearance for us and coming back from injury, normally you would expect to see him come on and get 15 to 20, 25 minutes off the bench a couple of times before he gets the start. Like you say, Wednesday night could have been a good one for him to come on and have 15
perfect
minutes.
Opportunity to get it.
Watford could have been one, although Vardy came on, didn't he? So if Vardy doesn't start tomorrow, you'd assume Vardy will be the one to come in off the bench, which would mean we don't see Cannon again.
Unless you see Cannon start.
Well, he might do that.
But again, would you risk it against a team in form at the moment? That's the issue. But then again, is Kel as it anywhere near in form as Cannon anyway?
Amp Edit says it there on YouTube. He says our striker situation is so tricky. It is because Nacho's not in form particularly, is he?
No.
Vardy's not in form
not even
particularly.
mentioning Daka, which again, there's no point because he's never on the bench.
Who?
Exactly. That's the problem.
He's not even making the bench.
No,
now,
that's what I mean.
So,
with no point talking about him, but that's the fact that we've got 4 strikers and we're only ever using 2 of them, and there's 2 on the bench or / in the squad that could be doing something better at the moment, which we're not seeing. But like I say, as we get into the striker role, then Phil, again, make sure to comment your views and stuff on your teams, and if you think we should change it in any way. Phil, your striker position, who are you picking? You said that Vardy probably shouldn't be starting.
I can't see him picking Vardy. I can't see him giving him 90. If you were trying to protect Vardy to start against West Brom,
you bring him off. Yeah.
You'd have took him off, or you'd have made him a sub. So I can't think it's going to be Vardy at all who's going to start. And then, so therefore, I'm going to put this. I'd probably like to see Cannon start. But I think he'll put Nacho in, so I'm going to put Nacho.
You're going to put Nacho in, yeah.
But I guess are we meant to be picking the teams we actually want to see, or the team we think?
Well, half the time, like I say, for me, I pick Suter. That's my team. So I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
but
that's who
I'd prefer because of certain roles. But then again, the way you've put your team is probably the best 11 you could put out without maybe Vardy because of he just played 95 minutes. So. You probably picked half the team that you probably want to pick and half the team that you probably will pick. Say, because you put Cody in, and knowing Enzo, you probably will put him in over Suter anyway. But that's your striker then. And then in mine, I'm going to put Cannon because he's going to have to start sooner or later. And for me, he has to get game time before AFCON comes in because it's in January AFCON, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he's got a month now to get some games in. Otherwise, he's going to be brought in against, I don't know, some of the higher level teams when he gets set in the second half of the season. So
it'd be interesting to see if people put in the comments who they would pick to start tomorrow as a striker because I think it's the most contentious one of whether it be Cannon.
Andrew
Nacho.
Member says here, Cannon is a championship striker. He should be hitting the ground running. But then again, you could say that for all 4 of our strikers, really. We bought Daka for a European fight and now we're in the championship. Craig says, still need to be in the right place, Reedy. I get that for obviously what Vardy did against Watford. Says, we have 2 very expensive cheerleaders at strikers, Cannon and Daka. Again, why bring Cannon in if he's not getting any game time?
I mean, I'm not. I mean, Bob says get Cannon in. I'm definitely not Daka's fan. I don't think he's good enough in the Premier League at all. We just haven't seen him in the Championship. And again, you would have thought Daka off the bench for the first 15 games would have been an option to see if he is as good as people said he was. You should find the Championship a doddle. And then if Cannon's fit, then we need to see a little bit of his time as well on it. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. We do this tactics team. I wouldn't set the team up like that if it was me picking it. I'd be a lot more a different setup to that. But it's
well, you just know it's not going to happen. That's the thing, isn't it? But there you go, guys. That is going to be our 2 teams. Again, the only real change is me putting Suter in. You've obviously kept Cody in there because FaZe is out injured. And then
FaZe is not sure.
Well, he's not sure. So for me, like you said, if he's not 100%, you don't play him either way. Even if he's only 90% fit, you just don't play him. And you play someone who's 100%. And then obviously we've changed a few other players like Agon, Cannon with Vardy and whoever else as well. But there you go, guys. Comment your views, comment your score predictions for tomorrow, and we'll catch you all on the next show.
You're not telling us your score prediction, Reedy?
Oh, you want me to score prediction?
Yeah, come on.
Okay.
Let's get a score prediction in. We all got it wrong for Sheffield Wednesday because on Monday I said, it's going to be a doddle. It's going to be 3-4 against Sheffield Wednesday. We got it completely wrong.
It should have been.
It was the bookie buster. So tomorrow it's really, really hard to predict any scores, isn't it? So go on, put your neck on the line because no doubt you'll be on Jamie's Aftermath show on Sunday morning telling everybody. I'm going to go for a 2-2. I think we're going to draw to them. A Desmond 2-2. That's a very Jamie type of score.
It is, isn't it?
It's good, yeah. Well, let's hope so. I'm going to go for.
It's a tough game.
It is a tough one.
We thought Sheffield Wednesday was going to be easy, and it just wasn't. So
I'm hoping it's a 2-1 to Leicester.
Okay.
And it's lovely to see Reedy with a smile on his face. That's great. Happy boy. So hopefully that continues for longer.
Yes, it does. Hopefully, guys, you enjoyed the show, and we'll catch you on the next show. See you in a bit, guys.
See you later.
Thanks for watching Leicester Fan TV. Thanks to our sponsors, Everards, Barlow Blinds, Pukka Pies, Car Leasing, Distillers Direct, Hollogram, Take Me, Newby Co, The Fox's Arms and Rainbows. Run by the fans, for the fans. Follow us on socials at Leicester Fan TV and visit leicesterfantv.com for all the latest news, views and videos.